Hello and welcome. In this video I'm going to show you 5 of my kind of finishing touches to my makeup. These are quite basic things, so if you are already quite experienced with makeup you might already know these. But these are something that are good to know and some might be forgotten already. I usually use these when my makeup is done and I feel like something is missing, or for somehow my makeup is looking dull or too kind of matte, or there is something to correct. So I hope these inspire you to test if you haven't yet, and if you have some finishing touches you usually do when you need to fix up some situation, let us know in the comment section. But let's get into it. The first one is using brightening products on my under eye area. Maybe you already know I have done brightening products video earlier in my channel. I link it below if you want to see more. But the basic idea is that there is some products on the market which are mainly targeted to give you brightness, not so much coverage, but brightness. Usually these products are pinkish or peachy salmon toned, and the idea is that they both cancel the darkness in your under eye, but they quite often have quite a lot of luminous pigments, luminous particles in the product, which make the light reflect more on your under eye area, and they seem more kind of glowy and fresh and not so dark and not so dull. As an example, I use my favorite here, which is the Becca Under Eye Brightening Corrector, and this is the shade light to medium. You can see in this example that I had already concealer on and I did have powder on as well. And this is kind of the situation when my makeup is finished and I think that my under eye is just too dry looking or matte looking. I can use this product on top of powder as well if I'm light-handed. And the main key in this technique is that you don't smear anything, you just really gently kind of tap that product on. And also the secret is to use as little amount of product as you just possibly can. You can always add more, but if you have too much product, you might easily just lift on the concealer and powder you already have, and then it is much more difficult situation to correct. As you can see here, I have already that corrector on and I have these studio lights coming now towards me, so the reflection is really visible. It's not as obvious, of course, in real life. It's only kind of fresh on my skin, and I love to use these products especially when I'm wearing my eyeglasses, because my eyes kind of get hidden behind the eyeglasses and all what's in there kind of feels like it's more visible. And if there is some kind of darkness, I feel like that my eyes are even more in the background and I don't look awake. So I like to use these. You can use this under your concealer, of course, if you want, but if you are in a situation that you need something to be fixed, you can use this also on top of your concealer and powder. The second one is something you might want to use when you are using dark lipstick. Usually when I'm using dark lipstick, because my hands tremble they just tremble always, I do have some problems adding lipstick evenly. I usually do get some quirky lines and different marks and everything. So I need some technique to correct those mistakes. But also this is a great trick if you feel like your lipstick somehow doesn't pop up in the way you want. You want it more visible and more kind of crisp. What I do then is I take my concealer, whatever it is, and a flat synthetic brush. This is important that this is as flat as possible because you want the sharpest possible kind of line here. It doesn't matter if this is flat or tapered, or that's not the main thing, but this is very important that it's really flat. I suggest that you take the smallest amount of product again. That means that you can take this concealer to your brush and then tap it to your hand so you get the most of it off, and then you start applying to the line of your lipstick. And if you are wearing dark lipstick as I am now, you need to be really careful. If you touch the lipstick, it will start smudging. I'll show you that happening as well, because it always happens to me. But this is also the trick you can use to correct it. So if that happens, you just need to wipe off, cleanse your brush, take a little bit more about concealer, and then just try to, with one wipe, kind of wipe it off, and then you can afterwards pat it more even if there is a patch or something. But this is a great way if you have some kind of smudge, or if the lipstick line is not even, or anything you want. Also, if you want to correct something in your eye, sharpen your eyebrows, of course the same technique is good. But the trick is always to, if you want to make your lipstick to pop up more, to use a kind of lighter shade of concealer. So you get this kind of lighter, not visibly lighter, but just the tiniest bit of lighter line to your lipstick, so the darker color seems to pop up more. So that's the key in this technique. Then the third one, as I'm quite fair, as you can see, I rarely use heavy contour or heavy bronzer. This is a lot to me. And when I do, I'm not so used to do it, so I usually end up using a bit too much product, doing a bit too harsh, or if I just try to do a little bit of contouring or bronzing, I end up using a bit too much product. Or sometimes my bronzer and blush just don't seem to mix, or the highlighter is too bright, or something, that kind of problems. What I do then is a technique called buffing, which many of beauty gurus use, because it's so useful technique. In this, the basic idea is that you take a very finely milled powder. To me, the best ones are pressed powders, because I can more easily kind of control the amount of product. And I want something very finely milled powder, because this is a technique that you don't kind of add powder on, you just use it to blend these products already on your face. This hourglass powder is great one, but there is a ton of affordable great one. Usually they are kind of in a domed shape, kind of baked formula. You don't get, if you swatch it with your fingers, you don't get visible powder, this kind of loose powder. It's just is very finely milled. Often there is a little bit of sheen in these powders as well, which of course as a dry skinned girl I don't mind. But the idea is that you take the powder and then you just slightly buff it over your bronzer and contour and blush and highlighter. And I usually try to take movements from my center of my face, from this kind of lip nose area towards my ears up here, so I can get the same line, so I kind of blend these products towards that line. And of course, as I've added some bronzer to my forehead as well, I can do the buffing to my forehead. So this is the way that you gently kind of mix everything together. And if there has been a harsh lines or anything, you easily can blend this off without adding any more pigment to your face. The fourth one is quite similar, but the idea is a bit different. When my makeup is looking a bit dull, or I want that kind of little bit of glow to my skin without it looking glowy. I want that kind of mystical dream-like skin. in that situation I use these kind of powders which have quite a lot of luminosity and glow in it without any shimmer or glitter. I think the most known is the Gerline meteorites, but there is others as well. They quite often are something that you can see these kind of different color blocks. For example, Bobbi Brown has excellent one where there is this white and pink and green and yellow and different shades, 6 different shades, and when you swirl them together you get really luminizing powder without any kind of powder or any kind of shimmer or glitter. In this demo I used the summer edition from this year from the Gerline products. They do look pinkish, goldenish in the package, but when I apply it to my skin I don't get any more blush or any color. I just get the hint, kind of veil of glow to my skin, which is exactly what I'm looking for. And if you are using buffing method and this kind of glowing primer veil to your skin, quite often you might start thinking that your makeup is too powdery. Although these two products don't usually give you that powdery look, but at least to my head I think that, oh no, I've been adding too much powder, I need something to take that off. And then of course most of us know that setting sprays come really handy. There is usually people use setting sprays to set the makeup and make it last longer, but what I use them for actually is to take all the powderiness off. So when you use setting spray, the idea is that those little sparkles hit your skin and they kind of melt to your skin and they take all the powders down next to your skin, so there isn't that powder layer, there is that just this kind of glowy skin. And this is something that will give you more skin-like finish. Even though you wear full coverage foundation, it kind of makes it more even, it makes it a little bit more moistured, and it makes it look more skin-like. Of course, many of the setting sprays do make your makeup wear longer, of course, but there is different purposes as well. There is setting spray which do give you a bit more matte skin during the day, and there is setting spray which give you luminosity to your skin. So you can mix the setting sprays between what you want, the other effect. But to me the main thing is to melt all the powder away, and I do tend to use quite moisturizing setting sprays to give a little bit of extra moisture. In this example I used the all-nighter because it kind of, to me it feels like that when I use quite heavy-handedly, as you can see, it gives me most of this kind of even finish. It does dry me a little bit, but I'm not going to wear this makeup all day, so I don't mind. But if I want my makeup to last really long time, I do use this setting spray. But usually I use some kind of other. If you don't have setting spray, you can use just water. If you've ever noticed that when you put your makeup on and then you go outside and you find out that there is really humid weather, there's been raining and everything, and you just can't avoid of getting some of that moist to your face, and when you go to work or school you might find out that, hey, my makeup is looking better than it did when I left from home. And that's the key, that's the main idea, that there is some kind of moisture, liquidy moisture that comes to your skin and kind of takes the powderiness off away and kind of melts things together. This is hard to explain, you need to really try what happens and see it with your own eyes, because even though I try to always put my settings here in video in a way that you can see most of my skin, there is never, it's never the same if you would be here. These were my kind of 5 finishing touches, techniques and tips to use. As I said, nothing new. This is something that people have been doing for years and I haven't invented this. But there is always someone who's getting into makeup and don't know these tricks. So there's always good to kind of go through again these things. So, but that's it. As I said, if you have your kind of tips how you make that little extra thing to your makeup, let us know. I would be interested to learn new techniques. But now I wish you have a great day and see you next time. Bye bye.